الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه ومن اهتدى بهداه إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. Dear brothers and sisters, this is a new lesson where we're going to study the Tahawiyyah Creed. And the Tahawiyyah Creed is a well-known creed written by Imam Abu Ja'far Ahmad ibn Salamata At-Tahawi, who was one of the great Hanafi Imams. And this creed is a small creed, but it became later on an agreeable creed between all of the schools that are referred to Sunnah. So you find that the Atharis, the Maturidis, and the Ash'aris all comment on it and speak about what it says in the way that suits their point of view. And this is, subhanAllah, the most strangest thing in this creed. We can find a lot of Salafis commenting on it and respecting it. On the other hand, most Hanafis, Maturidis comment on it, and we have lots of commentaries by Maturidi Hanafis on it. And we have some commentaries by Ash'aris as well. Does this mean that Abu Ja'far At-Tahawi used to not be following a very clear creed? No, that doesn't mean that. But he wrote it in a way, and he used some words that everyone could use. Yes, every one of these groups can criticize some words there, or can try to say, well, he means, he doesn't mean, etc. So therefore, for me, actually, I don't prefer this creed when I compare it with other creeds. But as long as it's famous and it has a lot of interested commentaries on it, I don't find any problem to teach it. And I like to teach things that make Muslims more closer to each other. So let us see, first of all, what's the idea of this creed, and then let us talk about Imam At-Tahawi rahimahullah and his life, and then we can see what are the commentaries on this creed and stuff like that. Okay? So therefore, let us first of all speak about this creed. This creed mentions the creed that the great ancestors of the Hanafis used to believe in. And he said in the beginning of this creed that this is the creed of Abu Hanifa and his two great students, Abu Yusuf and Muhammad ibn Hassan al-Shaybani rahimahullah jamiyah. As if he is summarizing the creed of Imam Abu Hanifa and his great students. So it seems that this creed has to be the real Hanafi creed. And then he went on and he mentioned the creed. Now, the good thing of this creed that it's an old creed. It's written by Imam At-Tahawi, Abu Ja'far At-Tahawi, who is close to the era of the Salaf, because he passed away 300 and few years like that. And that means that he's so close to the Salaf radiyallahu tabaraka wa ta'ala anhum. So therefore, Imam Abu Ja'far At-Tahawi he passed away 321. That means he passed away before Abu Hassan al-Ash'ari passed away. So he passed away before Abu Hassan al-Ash'ari and before Abu Mansur al-Maturidi. So he's before these guys that can comment on it or speak about it or say anything about that. And that means that he was born in the era that is close to the era of the Salaf, rahimahullah. Okay? So that means what he's speaking about, it's still in the first era. And that's why he used some words that only the Salaf used to use them, or who follows the Salaf, radiallahu anhu. Abu Ja'far At-Tahawiyyah, rahimahullah, was a great Hanafi scholar. And he was a Hanafi muhaddith. And the muhaddithun between the old Hanafis are not a lot. And one of the greatest ones amongst them is Abu Ja'far At-Tahawiyyah, rahimahullah. And he has his books that I'm going to speak about. So therefore, when we speak about Abu Ja'far At-Tahawi, we're speaking about a great Imam Hafiz, rahimahullah. And now, what are the things that people criticized on his creed? Well, actually, they criticized on his creed that it's not classified in the way that usually books of faith are classified on it. But that doesn't matter because it's an old creed. And old creeds are not like the new ones that were organized after that, and they improved them, and they started speaking about what concerns theology or what concerns God Almighty and stuff like that, and then what concerns the prophets, and then what concerns other things, etc. And some of them go on the hadith of Imam Muslim about Umar ibn Khattab when Gabriel came to him, and he came in an image of a Bedouin and started asking questions. What is Islam? What is Iman? What is etc. So they put it according to that hadith. So the other thing, which is a serious thing, is that Abu Ja'far At-Tahawi, when he mentioned some things that have to do with serious matters, he used elastic words. What do I mean by elastic words? He used words that could fit on any things. And that's what made his creed easy to be commented on any creed of these types of creeds. And the other problem is that when he spoke about Iman, he spoke about it according to what the Hanafi school believes, which is considered as irja' al-fuqaha. Anyway, commentators spoke about that and mentioned all these types of things, and that's what, inshallah, we're going to speak about, and we're going to notice, actually, inshallah. Now, who is Abu Ja'far At-Tahawi, rahimahullah? Who is this scholar, and which era was he in? Abu Ja'far At-Tahawi was from Egypt, and he was in the Abbasid era. But it was after the Abbasid dynasty, or the Abbasid state became weak. It's not in the first days of it where it was strong. So in his era, the states of the capital started getting loose and getting independence in a way or another from the capital. Does that mean that they became free from it? No. They considered themselves as followers of the state, but they had their own dynasty or their own states, or etc. But they used to say that we are following the caliph that is in Baghdad. Okay? And that was in all lots of lands of the Islamic states, if we could call them. And Egypt in this era, which is the third Islamic century, or actually it's the fourth century, where the Islamic civilization was very, very improved and very strong wherever you go. So you find scholars wherever you go, especially in Egypt, Syria, Iraq, Hijaz, and Persia, and Khurasan, and all these, and the land of Mawara al-Nahr, what passes the river, which means the river, which is the land of Turkestan right now. And the river here is Sayhud, Ujayhud, which is Abu Daria, and I forgot the other name. It's those rivers that split Afghanistan from the Turkestani states, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, and Tajikistan, and all these stands. So there were lots of scholars in that era, actually, great imams of Sunnah, imams of Hadith, imams of Fiqh, imams of all types of knowledge. And the Islamic civilization in that era was very, very strong, and it was the greatest civilization in the whole world, where everybody used to try to imitate Muslims, to speak Arabic because it was the strongest language. And they brought scholars and books from everywhere. So they improved in all types of science, in chemistry, in physics, in plus Islamic studies. I'm speaking about all types of knowledge, where you find these great scholars wherever you go. And you find these great scholars of knowledge that until now, Europe benefit from them, and it became and improved its civilization. Without their books, they couldn't do anything. So, so therefore, we had genius scholars wherever we go in this era. And amongst these, we had this genius person, Abu Ja'far At-Tahawi. This great Imam is referred to a village called Taha in Egypt, in Sa'id, Misr, Sa'id, southward Egypt. And some scholars like Yaqut al-Hamawi and Imam Suyuti say, no, he is from a city or a village called Tahtut. I'd never heard this Tahtut, but that's what they said. Or they said that this village was called Tahtut, but because it's heavy on the tongue, people started calling it Taha. You see? So it was called Tahtut, and people started calling it Taha. Maybe it's an old Egyptian name. There are several villages that are called Taha in Egypt, not only one. So we have several Taha, actually. Several, maybe 5 Tahas. Taha Wush, Taha al-Bishar, Taha al-Amudayn, Taha. It seems that it means something. The word Taha means something. So therefore, Al-Imam At-Tahawi rahimahullah was from one of these Tahas, and that's where he was born in. It's called Taha al-Amudayn, or Taha al-Ashmudayn. And it's close to a city called Munyat ibn al-Khasib, which is and Imam Abu Ja'far At-Tahawi is called Ahmad ibn Muhammad ibn Salama At-Tahawi Al-Azdi, or At-Tahawi Al-Hajar Al-Azdi. And Al-Hajar is a branch of the great tribe of Al-Azd, and they're originally from Yemen. One of his grandfathers migrated from there, and he came to, after the Islamic era, he came to Sa'id, to Egypt. And therefore, we can say that Imam Abu Ja'far At-Tahawi is originally from Yemen, because he's from the tribe Al-Azd. So Al-Azd is a big tribe from Yemen, all Yemen. It's a big tribe, actually. And therefore, he was born in the year 229. That means he was born when Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal was still alive, and when lots of Imams were still there. And his era was, when he was born in Egypt, there was a ruler called Ahmad ibn Tulun. Ahmad ibn Tulun was a ruler from the Abbasid Caliph, and he used to rule in Egypt and Syria, or we can say Egypt and land of Levant. And Abu Ja'far At-Tahawi used to visit this governor, and he used to advise him and give him and preach to him and give him advices. He didn't used to be far from the governor. And he met other people, other governors and stuff like that. And he met a very rough and tough governor of Egypt called Abu Mansur Taqid al-Jazari. He was known as Al-Jabbar. Jabbar means a great or a tough man. He was a tough man. And he was the ruler of Egypt in his era. And once he came to Imam Abu Ja'far At-Tahawi, and Imam At-Tahawi he got frightened from him. He got afraid of him. So he started speaking to him in a good way, in a polite way, until Imam At-Tahawi got calm. Subhanallah. So he said to him, I want you to marry my daughter. This great governor wanted Imam At-Tahawi to marry his daughter. So Imam At-Tahawi said, no, I won't do that. So he told him, do you have a land? He said, no, I don't have a land. He said, okay, ask me whatever you want. He's the governor, he's the ruler. He said to him, would you listen to me if I ask you? He said, yes. So Imam At-Tahawi told him, preserve or conserve your religion so that it won't escape from you. And make your best to save yourself from hellfire. Make your best to save yourself before you die. And be aware from being unfair to people. Then he went and he left him. And that's made this governor get afraid, and he stopped being bad to people. Subhanallah al-Azim. Subhanallah al-Azim. He benefited from his advice. Subhanallah. And Imam Badr al-Din al-Aini spoke about Imam At-Tahawi, because Imam Badr al-Din al-Aini is a great Hanafi scholar, and he's originally from Ain Tab now, which is now in Turkey. Badr al-Din al-Aini is originally from Ain Tab, which is now in Turkey. But he was in Egypt. And he wrote Awn al-Bari ala Sahih al-Bukhari, which is similar to Fath al-Bari of al-Hafidh ibn Hajar. So he said, he mentioned him in his book, Aqeedah Al-Jummad, which speaks about the followers of Imam Abu Hanifa. And he mentioned the relationship between Imam Tahawi and the great Imams of Sunnah that wrote the books of Sunnah. He said, when Imam al-Bukhari rahimahullah passed away, Imam al-Tahawi was 27 years old. Because al-Bukhari passed away in the year 256. And when Muslim ibn al-Hajjaj passed away, he was 32 years old. Because Muslim passed away in the year 261. And he shared with Imam Muslim some of his narrations. So he had some narrations by some teachers of Imam Muslim rahimahullah. And when Abu Dawood passed away, he was 46 years old, because Abu Dawood passed away in the year 275. And he narrated from several professors of Imam Abu Dawood rahimahullah. And when Imam al-Nasa'i passed away, he was 74 years old, because Imam al-Nasa'i rahimahullah passed away in the year 303. And he narrated from several scholars that he narrated from. And when Al-Imam Ibn Majah passed away, he was 44 years old, because Ibn Majah passed away in the year 273. And he shared with him some of his teachers. And when Al-Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal passed away, he was 12 years old, because Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal passed away 241. And when Imam Yahya ibn Ma'in passed away, he was 4 years old, only 4 years old. This is how we can understand the era where Imam Abu Ja'far At-Tahawi was in. Imam At-Tahawi was the greatest Imam, or one of the blessed Imams of the 4th Hijri century, because when he when he passed away, he was the great Imam of Egypt. He was the Muhaddith, the Musnid, and in that year, many scholars of Hadith passed away, like Imam Abu Bakr al-Ghassal, and Abu Ali al-Basari, and Herat, which is now in Afghanistan, a great Imam called Abu Ali, Ahmad ibn Muhammad ibn Ali ibn Razil, al-Asbahan ibn Abi Hurayra, in Baghdad, Abu Uthman, Sa'id ibn Muhammad, Akhu Zubayr, and other Imams passed in the same year. Who are the teachers and professors of Imam Tahawi? Imam Tahawi had a lot of teachers, but he took from Harun ibn Sa'id al-Ayli, Abdul Ghani ibn Rifa'a, Yunus ibn Abdul A'la, Isa ibn Muhammad ibn Abdullah ibn Abdul Hakam, great Imam of Egypt, Bahr ibn Nasr, and all these Imams. Okay? Okay? And he had a lot of students. So from his students, Ahmad ibn al-Qasim al-Khashab, Abu al-Hassan, Muhammad ibn Ahmad al-Ikhmimi, Yusuf al-Bayariji, Abu Bakr ibn al-Muqri', Imam Tabarani, that has the books that are famous, Ahmad ibn al-Warith al-Zajjaj, and Abdul Aziz ibn Muhammad al-Jawhari, the judge of Egypt, or the judge of Sa'id, and other imams. And then he went to Syria, or land of Levant, in the year 262, and he met Al-Qadi Abu Khazim and others, and he took fiqh from him. Now, there's something very important of Imam At-Tahawi, rahimahullah. Lots of scholars greeted him or spoke good about him. And Imam At-Tahawi actually started as a Shafi'i Imam. He wasn't Hanafi. And he started studying with his uncle, Al-Imam, one of the great students, Abu Ibrahim Al-Muzani, who is the greatest student of Imam Shafi'i, rahimahullah. So he studied, but actually he didn't like him. His uncle was upset from him. He didn't find him as he wanted. So once he was angry and he told him, by Allah, you will never be anything. You will never be a scholar. That's it. Forget about that. So he decided to change the madhab. He said, okay, the Shafi'i school didn't benefit. I couldn't go on with this school. So he decided to go to the Hanafi school, and he became a great imam, but his uncle passed away. So he came to his uncle's grave and he said, uncle, you have to make a kafara of your yameen because you swore, but actually I became now a scholar. You see? Abu Sa'id ibn Yunus said Al-Imam At-Tahawi was a great, trustworthy man. He was a jurist, a knowledgeable person, a smart person, and when he passed away, no one was like him. Al-Hafiz ibn Abd al-Barr, rahimahullah, says Al-Imam At-Tahawi was a Kufi on the Kufi school. What is the Kufi school? It's the Hanafi school. Because the Imam Abu Hanif was the leader of Kufa, and all Kufi scholars merged in his, or melted in his school, actually. And he said he used to know all of the other schools, all of the madhahib. And Ibn Abd al-Barr said in his book, Jami' Bayan al-Ilm wa Fadlihi, he was the most knowledgeable person about the series of the Kufi scholars and all news about them. And he knew lots of information about other Islamic schools. Imam Sam'ani said At-Tahawi was a very strong, trustworthy scholar. Ibn al-Jawzi said Imam At-Tahawi used to be neat and he understands properly. He was a jurist. He was smart and clever. And all other scholars said the same thing. He wrote a lot of books, especially his book, and all of his books were interested in very good, full of knowledge. Especially his book, Sharh Ma'ani Athar, very interesting book, very great book. And he speaks about the hadith that you can feel that there is conflict between them, and he solves this problem. Okay? And he mentions lots of narrations and the meanings of it, and what scholars said about it. So actually, with his chains. So it's a very beneficial and interesting book. You see, so this is Sharh Ma'ani Athar, and he has another great book called Ikhtilaf al-Ulama. He has a book called Ikhtilaf al-Ulama, and he has a book called Mushkil Athar. He has Ma'ani Athar and Mushkil. Sharh Ma'ani Athar, he mentions the meanings and the conflict between scholars and what they say. Sharh Mushkil Athar, it's the book that he goes to the problematic things between the narrations and tries to solve those problems. And he has other books. Rahimahullah, he was a great Imam actually. Passed away in the year 321. Passed in the year 321. Okay? So this is what I can say about Al-Imam At-Tahawi, rahimahullah. And he passed away. He was buried in Egypt, which is now Cairo. Actually, Cairo wasn't built in that era. It was called Fustat. Cairo, there was a city there called Al-Fustat, where Amr ibn al-As, rahimahullah, when he radiallahu anhu, when he conquered Egypt, he built his great masjid, and it's a very great masjid, Jami' called Jami' Amr ibn al-As, and the city was called the Fustat until Al-Mu'izz Lidinillah, the Ubaydi Shi'i Sultan came and took place there, and he built Al-Qahira. He called it Al-Qahira Al-Mu'izziyya, Al-Qahira. And when he built it, he built Jami' al-Azhar to spread Shi'ism. But alhamdulillah, it spread later. Salah ad-Din took it and took off the Shi'i school and put instead of it the Sunni school. So the city of Al-Qahira was built by the Ubaydi, who some people call them the Fatimiyun, who were fanatic Shia. When they took place in Egypt, they built this city and they made it their capital. This is what I can say about Al-Imam Abu Ja'far At-Tahawi, rahimahullah. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Yes, this is what I can say about him. And there's a lot to say, subhanAllah. There's a lot to say about Imam Abu Ja'far At-Tahawi. Yes, we can say that his creed was a Sunni creed, as we know. A lot of scholars spoke good about him. Imam Al-Dhahabi, rahimahullah, in Siyar A'lam al-Nubala said about him that he was neat, trustworthy, jurist, smart person. Imam Salah ad-Din Safadi said he was a noble person. The same things. All of them said the same words about him. He wrote lots of books. Amongst those books, we have his small creed that is known, and he has a book called Ikhtilaf al-Ulama, the conflict between scholars. It's published, and he mentions what scholars said in all branches of fiqh. He has a book called Sharh al-Jami' al-Saghir al-Kabir that was written by Muhammad ibn Hassan al-Shaybani. He made a commentary on it. He wrote a book about Imam Abu Hanifa, rahimahullah, and he has other books. As I mentioned, the books that I mentioned before, all those are books that So this is what I can say about this, about Imam Tahawi. طيب. Now, there is a book. There's a book about him where it mentions his life and it speaks a lot about him. It was written by Sheikh Muhammad Zahid al-Kawthari, who was known. Sheikh Zahid al-Kawthari, actually, forget about him against the Sunnah and stuff like that, but he wrote a book from 30 pages about Imam Abu Ja'far At-Tahawi. It's interesting to read it, actually, because he goes gathering Sheikh Muhammad Zahid al-Kawthari. Look, Zahid al-Kawthari, some scholars called him Majnoon Abu Hanifa, because he was very fanatic in loving Abu Hanifa, rahimahullah. And he made his best to defend Abu Hanifa and all of his students, but he he passed limits and he started speaking bad about other imams. That's not a proper thing. You can benefit, you can defend your sheikh and your imam, but without saying bad things about others. Now, Sheikh Muhammad Zahid al-Kawthari was in Istanbul. And when the Ottoman Empire collapsed, he was against Mustafa Kemal and his fellows, and therefore he migrated to Egypt and he wrote a lot about them. And he said that these guys are deviants and they are against Islam, and he spoke a lot about them. And he left a school, and now there's actually, when you go to Turkey and you see these religious people there, they consider themselves students of Sheikh Zahid al-Kawthari. You see, so they consider him as their great imam. For us, we only know his bad face, which is that he was against imams of Sunnah. He was fanatic, actually, when he used to debate against the Sunni creed, and he used to say bad things about imams of Sunnah, and especially great imams of Sunnah, actually. And he spoke very bad about Ibn Taymiyyah and Ibn Qayyim and these imams. So that's why we have this problem with him. But anyway, anyone who is capable and he studied good his creed, when he's strong and understand, he can benefit from he can benefit from all other books. He can benefit from all other books. Okay. Type. Now let us see. What are the commentaries of this creed. This creed actually has many commentaries on it. Wait a second. Okay, so we have several commentaries on Tahawiyyah. But the most famous commentary that we know, and it was very famous, that people used to depend on it, it's the commentary of Imam Al-Qadi Ibn Abi al-Izz Al-Hanafi rahimahullah. This commentary is a Salafi commentary, is an Athari commentary by a Hanafi scholar, actually. He's Hanafi. And this creed, or this commentary, is written by this judge that was in Damascus, and he was student of Imam Ibn Kathir rahimahullah. So Ibn Kathir influenced his students, Ibn Abi al-Izz, and he became an Athari Salafi, although he's Hanafi. And usually, or most Hanafis after the era of the three centuries were Maturidis. After the Maturidi appeared, most Hanafis were Maturidis. Some of them, or a lot of them, were Mu'tazilites, and all of the Mu'tazila are Hanafis except Al-Qadi Abdul Jabbar, who was Shafi'i. And some of them were Karramis who followed Muhammad ibn Karram al-Sijistani, who was in Sijistan, which is nowadays in Afghanistan. So, and his school spread a lot in those places, and it's said that the Ghaznawi dynasty adopted his creed. So Mahmud ibn Subuktukin al-Ghaznawi was on the creed of al-Karrami. That's what they say. And it spread in Jerusalem and the places there, but nowadays it disappeared. There is no Karramis anymore in the world. It disappeared. Why did it disappear? I don't know. It disappeared. That's it. Didn't find anybody to support it, so it disappeared. And actually, lots of ideas or schools or even religions disappear there isn't anybody to follow them. They don't preach. They don't work on that. They disappear. That's it. So therefore, let us see. There are other commentaries on Aqeedah At-Tahawiyyah that are written by others that are not that don't follow the creed of the Salafi creed. For example, by the way, all Salafis that wrote after Imam Ibn Abi al-Izz al-Hanafi, they benefit from what he wrote. Why? Because Ibn Abi al-Izz al-Hanafi was in an era very horrible. The kings there and the scholars were against the Salafi creed. They used to torture people, imprison them. They even Imam Tahawi had Ibn Abi al-Izz, although he was a judge, he had a big problem in his life. I think they put him in jail. They abused him. He had a lot of problems actually. There's a book written about his life and what happened to him. So anyone who says Ibn Taymiyyah, Ibn al-Qayyim, oh, that's it. That's a disaster for him. So therefore, what did he do? He went writing this commentary without and quoting a lot from the books of Ibn Taymiyyah and Ibn al-Qayyim without mentioning their names. And there's one of the editions of this book. I think it's the edition of Maktab al-Islami it's edited by Sheikh al-Albani rahimahullah, and Sheikh Abdul Razzaq Afifi went quoting all the quotes and referring it to where did Ibn Abi al-Izz get it from. So actually the commentary of Ibn Abi al-Izz is a great commentary. It's the best commentary, the best Athari Salafi commentary of this creed. Now there are lots of shuyukh that wrote a commentary on it, and from the Salafis, Sheikh al-Albani rahimahullah wrote a small commentary, like it's in a small book, and even Sheikh bin Baz rahimahullah has some footnotes on it, and he remarked on those words that are problematic in it. Now we have big commentaries or middle commentaries. So we have a commentary by Sheikh Salih ibn Abdul Aziz al-Sheikh in 2 volumes. And this guy, by the way, Sheikh Salih ibn Abdul Aziz al-Sheikh, is a very knowledgeable person. I like his commentaries. His commentaries are strong and good and neat, subhanAllah. I like his books. I like his work. And there are commentaries by Sheikh al-Barrak, Sheikh al-Rajihi, and others. And I think, for me, and that's the book that I'm going to use, the best commentary that is easy to understand without using lots of words and without going out from the text is the commentary of Sheikh Salih ibn Fawzan al-Fawzan. This scholar, forget about his statements and stuff like that. I don't care. I'm not speaking about that. I'm speaking about him as a scholar. His commentaries on the books are very beneficial and good. For me, this is what I believe. His commentaries on the books are very beneficial and good. Okay, his the things that he mentions, the statements that he writes are fine and good. He follows the Sunni creed as it is, alhamdulillah. Okay, now forget about his statements, his political statements and stuff like that. That's another story. I don't like to mix between these two things. That's another story. Okay. Now there are other commentaries that are Salafis, and they went to the commentary of Ibn Abi al-Izz and they tried to summarize it, like Sharh At-Tahawiyyah by Sheikh Abdul Akhir Hamad, and this Sheikh Abdul Akhir Hamad is one of the students of Sheikh Umar Abdul Rahman. He's from Egypt, and he went organizing the book again. So he organized the text and he took a very summarized commentary on it. So it's in a small volume. It's in a volume, but it's a small mid-volume. Okay, this is very beneficial and good. There's another one by Sheikh Abdul Mun'im Salih al-Izzi, the Iraqi scholar who has another name, and he wrote several books with it. Ahmed Muhammad al-Rashid is very famous. He passed away a few years ago. rahimahullah. By Sheikh Abdul Akhir Hamad, he lives now in Germany. but Sheikh Abdul Munim Al Izzi, he wrote a commentary that is actually beautiful and easy to read. And it's summarized from the book of Ibn Abi al-Izz. There is another one summarized from the book of Ibn Abi al-Izz by Sheikh Salah Sawi, who lives in America actually. He has a university there, and he's an Egyptian scholar. His view is very beautiful. He's a good scholar actually. Now there are some commentaries that you can't depend on because that are either Ash'ari or Maturidi. Okay, now from the old scholars we have Sharh At-Tahawiyyah by Akmal Ad-Din Al-Babarti. This guy is a Hanafi scholar. I think he's a student of Imam Allahumma salli ala Muhammad Kamal Ad-Din ibn Humam. Kamal Ad-Din ibn Humam, he's his student, and he's a Hanafi scholar, very well-known scholar actually. And there's another one, very beautiful actually. I read it a long time ago. A few years ago, by a Sheikh Al-Maydani. Sheikh Al-Maydani. He was from Damascus, and he passed away 150 years ago. So it's not so far. And there's another one by a Sheikh from Turkestan, Kashghari from Turkestan, and it's very beautiful. And he doesn't go deep. He doesn't go in these theological problems. So actually, I believe it's a soft and beautiful commentary. It's a soft and beautiful commentary. There are several scholars from Turkey, the Arab in the Ottoman era, that had commentaries on this book. I don't remember their names right now, but I saw a lot of those commentaries, and I saw them in Turkey in some libraries there, bookstores. Now there are some people nowadays that want to resurrect the Ash'ari's creed, and they're fanatic, and that's like Saeed Foda. He has a big commentary in 2 volumes. He wants to show that he's competing with Ibn Abi al-Izz or something like that. And this guy actually, he created a new Ash'ari way that is fanatic and very bad actually. It stands by, it spread a lot of places, and they start saying bad things about Sunni Imams, and actually their political statements are very, very funny and bad. And the most of their effort is to destroy the Sunni creed actually. And what is similar to this is the commentary of Abdullah al-Harari al-Habashi, that is the founder of the Habashi sect, which is considered as the Madkhalis of the Ash'aris, if I can say. The Madkhalis of the Ash'aris, if I can say that. They're very fanatic, and his statements you can't rely on, because he claims that he's Ash'ari Maturidi. This is funny. You can't be Ash'ari Maturidi at the same time. It's like if you're saying I'm Ash'ari Salafi. You can't do that. You have to be one of these. You can't be both, because Ash'aris and Hanafis or Maturidis, they conflict in several things. So you are either this or this. But he says that his commentary is Ash'ari Maturidi, but actually he doesn't follow one of these in some branches of this book. The same thing of the commentary by Hassan al-Saqaf, where he called it Sahih Sharh Al-Aqeedah At-Tahawiyyah. He wants to show that that's the authentic commentary on Aqeedah At-Tahawiyyah. Actually, these books are deviants. I don't advise anybody to read these books to lose his time in reading that. So this is what I can say. This is what I can say about these commentaries on Aqeedah At-Tahawiyyah. This is what I can say, and that's it. I think this is enough for this lesson, inshallah, and we'll start, inshallah, tomorrow. Barakallahu feekum wa jazakumullahu khairan, and until next lesson. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.